Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. Now we have this special session after having received the Amitabha empowerment and mainly having the faith in the Pure Land school practice of praying to be reborn in Sukhavati. Here is a very beautiful practice that all of you can do. Not because it's a new commitment for you, but because you're going to sleep better. Everybody wants quality sleep. A lot of people lie on the bed but could not go to sleep. And then they worry, they take sleeping tablets, and they drink alcohol, and they watch horror and kind of violent movies because they can't sleep. In the old days also, there were lots of people can't sleep. And so this sleeping yoga, Amitabha sleeping yoga, is a very, very profound practice. Here we have the text that I translated for the benefit of all. I'm sure slowly everybody, through the good work of the translators, all the people joining tonight will receive a copy because that is the idea. So I will go slowly the teachings on this. This teaching is actually came from the Samandabhadra's prayer. In Samandabhadra's prayer, which is King of Prayers, there are a couple of verses where it says, when it is time for me to die, let all that obscures me fade away, so I can see Amitabha directly and go at once to his pure land of Sukhavati. Having reached there, may I actualize every single one of my aspirations. Having completely fulfilled them, without exception, may they aid sentient beings as long as the universe remains. Being born in the exquisite, beautiful lotus flower, in the excellent and joyous mandala of the Buddhas, may I hear Amitabha Buddha teach and give me the prophecy foretelling my future enlightenment. And having received the prophecy from Amitabha, with the many billions of emanations sent out through the power of my mind, may I bring enormous benefit to sentient beings in all directions. So these are the 4 verses that you find at the end of Samandabhadra's King of Prayers. So here, that being the source and inspiration, this practice has been recorded in the writings of the Sakya masters, who no doubt would have received from Parilotsawa, because when you receive detailed teaching on the King of Prayers, it gives you these very instructions, so that people pray to Amitabha to be born in the Sukhavati. We always make prayers when we hear somebody death, may they be born in Sukhavati. So the idea came originally from Samandabhadra's prayers. But so that is the source of it. Another is that people therefore not only think of going to Amitabha realm at the moment of death, but that most people die in tragic and fairly difficult situations. They may not be in a very good state to do those prayers. But instead, if they made a little few minutes of this practice before they go to bed each night, then not only will they make a habit of remembering Amitabha each night, but also they can make sure their sleep becomes a practice, not just sleep of a cow or ox, but sleep of a practitioner. So the sleeping yoga becomes very skillfully transformed into wholesome deeds. Usually sleeping is considered to be a waste of time for Dhamma practitioners. But of course, it is scientifically not entirely true. We all need sleep to rest the body and to slow the activities, so give the body a break from having to be on the feet whole day. But nevertheless, our sleep can often be neutral karma, let alone positive. But neutral karma should be transformed into positive karma. So it says in the teachings, and we should abstain doing negative karma, and we should do wholesome karma. But those that which are neutral, we should transform them. So the sleeping period, if you sleep, say, about average 8 hours, that's like the 1/3 of 24 hours. So this means if you live 90 years, you'll be sleeping 30 years of your life, doing nothing but neutral karma. So in order to prevent the sleeping period as a wasteful neutral karma, Vajrayana is a very skillful. One of the 4 characteristics of the Vajrayana is skillful. It skillfully makes people sleep as a wholesome karma and turns them into a meditation briefly if one does this small practice. So therefore you are highly recommended to do this as your daily sleeping yoga habit. Not only you will sleep well, but there's enormous merit from doing this. But one thing that makes it possible is having faith, having heard the teachings of the Buddha, and having the trust and faith, and who are not entertaining doubts in the Amitabha or in the Pure Land meditation, but believe in the Pure Land practice of being born Sukhavati. So what should you do? All of you should have a statue or painting or a nice photograph of Amitabha framed, put nicely in your room. Preferably the picture or the statue should be facing east. Anyway, display whatever normal offering you put in front of the statue or tanka, whatever, and then, if possible, you should arrange your bed. Bed should be arranged from north to south, so that you face west, sleeping on the right side, and you will be facing Amitabha, who's facing east. You'll be facing west. Your back is your back is towards the east. So that's the position. So if anyway, arrange a comfortable bed. Most people have a nice home, even however humble home it is. Always make your place to sleep as comfortable as possible, don't you? So one thing is you will be, of course, arranging the bed nicely so that you can sleep and recline on your right side. Before going to bed, however, you should first take refuge in the Triple Gem, and refuge is Buddha Amitabha and all the other enlightened ones. And in front of them, you should fold your hands at the heart and then do the refuge prayer 3 to 7 times. The refuge prayer here is I take refuge in the glorious root guru and holy master of the lineage. I take refuge in blessed accomplished Buddhas. I take refuge in the holy Dharma teachings. I take refuge in noble assembly. So these are fourfold refuge prayer. All Vajrayana prayers have this fourfold. Some Tibetan Buddhists have sixfold refuge prayers, but here it's just fourfold. So you do the refuge prayer 3 times, and then do the bodhicitta prayer. That I shall reach Buddhahood to benefit all sentient beings. For that purpose, I shall meditate on Buddha Amitabha. So you just decide that you're going to do the sleeping yoga for the benefit of all sentient beings. Why? Because there's lots of people who firstly don't have enough time to sleep. They're so busy, they're working around the clock, they like to sleep, but they have to round the clock working. So you feel sorry for many who don't have time to sleep. Others who have time to sleep, but they cannot sleep because their mind is well awake, worrying about that, worrying about tomorrow, and sad about what did or didn't happen yesterday. All of that is playing up against their mind. Many people are tossing and turning. Some are drinking alcohol. Some are watching violent movies. So they don't know how to put themselves to sleep. So you should say, I'm going to do this sleeping yoga meditation for the benefit of all. I at least got a warm bed. There are millions of people living on the streets, escaping war and famine and tragedy. Oh, so you should think of them before you go to bed and dedicate your sleeping yoga for the benefit of all such helpless sentient beings, and make sure that you do not go to sleep like a cow, but go to sleep as a practitioner. So so after done the having refuge in bodhicitta, then sit in your on your meditation cushion and imagine that your room is a celestial mansion, abode in the form of pure land of Sukhavati. Sukhavati is beautiful, exquisite, that everything is so perfect and divine and unimaginably perfect and immaculate. And it is said that one should regard yourself as Avalokiteshvara. You should think of yourself Avalokiteshvara. And then in front of you is Buddha Amitabha, because Avalokiteshvara's guru is Amitabha. So you should think of yourself as Avalokiteshvara. In front of yourself is Amitabha. Amitabha means boundless light. He is seated on a throne and a lotus and moon disk, and Amitabha is brilliantly radiant ruby red color. He has one face and 2 hands are both in meditative posture and holds arms ball filled with nectar. He is seated in a cross-legged diamond posture. He is adorned with silken garments, various jewelry ornaments, and seated in an enjoyment body. Enjoyment body, he is covered in 112 marks of a fully enlightened one. So, so here you says you can either imagine Amitabha in the enjoyment body, Sambhogakaya form, which means he's wearing the crown and earrings and jewelries. So that's one version. So you can still have both hands in meditation posture. That's the Sambhogakaya form. Or alternatively, you can visualize him in the emanation, Nirmanakaya form, wearing 3 Dharma robes, wearing 3 Dharma robes. The image you see of Amitabha on the posters that Sakya Friends prepared, that's the Nirmanakaya form, yeah? And the Sambhogakaya form is same gesture and posture, color, but wearing ornaments and jewelries. So That's up to you, whichever of these. Anyway, his body is covered in 32 major and 80 minor marks, and you are right in front of his holy presence. Then, if you are able to do this 7-limb prayer. Do the 7-limb prayer, the long 7-limb prayer from the Samandabhadra King of Prayer that has 12 verses. That's right at the beginning of the text. But with that, you don't have time to do that. Then do the following one, which is Chogyal Pakpa. Chogyal Pakpa is the 5th founding master of the Sakyapa lineage. He recommended doing this short prayer. What do? You join your hands and then say Namo Om Namo Bhagavate Amitabha. So means Om means homage, Namo also means homage, Bhagavate means enlightened one, Amitabha means true Amitabha. So homage to the fully enlightened Amitabha. And then you do the 7-fold prayer. So first limb is I pay homage. So that's a paying homage. Second limb is I make offerings. So I make offerings. You just imagine if you have a shrine, you put all the things, that's the offerings. Otherwise, visualize them. Second, make offerings. Third is go for refuge and the blessed one, Tathagata. Then for destroyer and perfectly enlightened one, Buddha Amitabha. So that's paying homage and making offerings. Then the third limb is I confess each and every negative deeds. Yeah, anything you did during today or in the past that you have not really done anything to correct, you should confess them before you go into bed. Even you've been a little bit upset or angry with something or someone or somebody did something, you should really confess the wrong thoughts that you had and vow not to keep these in your night and go to sleep without any of this ill will and resentment. I confess each and every negative deed. That's the third. Fourth is I rejoice in all the virtuous deeds. So you're rejoicing the virtuous deeds of others. You rejoice everything you did. You rejoice all the good work of other people. You should rejoice all the enlightened ones' qualities. You rejoice the kindness of your mother. You rejoice the kindness and amazing things that your friends do, your husband do, your wife do, your friend do. You rejoice all the work of the Sakya Friends. You rejoice all the work of our lineage masters. You rejoice all the people who are volunteer firefighters. You rejoice all the people who deliver your mails and make bread for everyone, rise early in the morning, go to work in the bakeries. You rejoice that you have always food in your pantry. You rejoice you have always running water and electricity. And you should be really rejoice all the things, small things you have. Don't be so negative about this going wrong, that going up, staying well. Don't worry about all those things. If you rejoice enough, you don't have time for depression. Who needs depression when we need to gladden ourselves? Look at all the beautiful road signs, prevent you from slipping, prevent you from driving fast. They give you the sign saying this is 40 zone, this is 80 zone. Rejoice all of those things. Rejoice all the people who work very odd hours to make those things easy for road users. Rejoice from small ordinary activities to the very enlightened activities. These are all very good karma. Think of this before you go to bed. You will sleep very well. That's the ticket to Amitabha Sukhavati realm. These seven limbs are the limbs that make you fit to go to Amitabha realm. This is amazing skillful practice. Just before going to bed, you make a habit of doing this refuge, bodhicitta, and 7-fold prayer. I supplicate all the Buddhas to turn the wheel of Dharma. Like say, you request teachings, don't you? You request teachings of Dharma, so that not just you need it, but others need to hear it. And so therefore, this idea of making teachings available to other people is amazing gift. Gift of Dharma excels gift than anything. Even the most famous Buddhist benefactor Anathapindika, he was so happy to sponsor Dharma because the Dharma is the most important thing that everybody needs. So he didn't hesitate to buy the Prince Jeta's grove and gave that to start of the Buddha ministry in Shravasti. So we should rejoice all the good work of many other people, so that the Dharma is taught and heard, and we should rejoice every one of our translators translating these things. You know, we should rejoice all the great people who did the Tibetan text, this kind of text in hand, from wooden xylographs. They're printed on very big wooden xylograph. This folio alone has two sides. It's two big blocks. It would have taken days to finish one block. And they have to make hundreds, 800-900 folios each book. They all do out of volunteer for the love of Dharma. So we should rejoice this. That's how the Dharma hasn't disappeared, because many people. So we supplicate all the Buddhas and turn the wheel of Dharma. We wish all the teachers to live long and not pass away into nirvana. Always pray that all the teachers, not just one teacher or my teacher, and then say his long life prayer. No, this is in the seven limb prayer. You don't pick and choose for my teacher long life. It says not to pass away into nirvana. Whoever are doing Dharma work and doing good for the Dharma, we wish them all to live long. So this is very good. And may I attain the stage of Amitabha by the meritorious roots of this virtue. So that's a dedication merit. So all the seven limbs are there. These seven limbs are seven limbs according to the sutra, or according to Samandabhadra's prayer. The other seven limb prayer is a seven limb prayer that you usually do during empowerment, and that's slightly different because they say that is a seven limb prayer according to Vajrasana, and also a seven limb prayer that you do in front of the Sambhogakaya, where you don't need to request to turn the wheel of Dharma and not to pass away in nirvana. Anyway, so that you should recite three times, and then you make this special supplication. O Blessed One, Tathagata, for Destroyer, perfectly enlightened One, Amitabha. So that's exactly, even when we do the Amitabha Sadhana, even do the Amitabha Sadhana, the long dharani I was reciting earlier during the empowerment, Om Namo Ranadaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Amitabha, all that is just basically this. So here is translated, O Blessed One, Tathagata, for Destroyer, perfectly enlightened Buddha Amitabha, having purified my negative deeds and obscuration by doing the seven limb prayer, may you bless me to be born in the pure land of Sukhavati, receive the prophecy about attaining enlightenment. So you repeat that prayer three times. So what do? You do the refuge three times, bodhicitta three times, sevenfold prayer three times, and this prayer three times. So then what do? Then you do the visualization of the sleeping yoga, which is a visualization is then you sit upright, and then you exhale, you breathe out, imagining that your own consciousness is emitted from your right nostril in the form of white light, and you are right in Amitabha is seated in front of you. Then this your consciousness that goes through Amitabha, through your right nostril, enters through the right nostril of the Amitabha and passes through his body and dissolve into the seed silver tree in the Amitabha tree. So which is meaning your consciousness is is like in Phowa. You're transferring your consciousness into the Amitabha's heart through the nostrils. So that's a very unique one. Then imagine that one's mind, your mind, become inseparably fused with the mind of the Amitabha. Each time you exhale, you visualize, you do that. Then when you inhale, imagine from the Blessed One's heart, white light is emitted from his right nostril like a flame, and it comes out through one's comes in. So it comes in through your right nostril, it comes back into your heart, and one's mind is now fused with that of the victorious one, as one flame lights another, one lamp lights another. In this way, you should keep repeating this many times. In this way, one should perform this meditative concentration like a circling firebrand for as long as possible, but without counting the rounds. You don't count the rounds, but you just do it many rounds as possible. Particularly if you can't sleep, just sit upright, do that meditation. That your mind is, consciousness is going out as you exhale into Amitabha's heart, and then it comes back with the mind of Amitabha again into your heart. So like a firebrand is turning continuously. It's like a breathing meditation, and you stay like this for however long you need to do. Particularly if you can't sleep, keep doing this. Very good. You can't say, I can't sleep. To conclude the session, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas that you have visualized with Amitabha, they all dissolve into the root and lineage gurus, and then the gurus dissolve into Amitabha, and then when you inhale, imagine Amitabha also dissolves into light and absorb into yourself, and yourself also dissolve into light, and as Buddha, Yidam, one's mind fused together inseparably, and one should focus one's attention to meditate on Amitabha. So then being your mind and Amitabha has fused into one. So you should just keep thinking this and then recite the mantra Om Amitabha Ri Soha, Om Amitabha Ri Soha, Om Amitabha Ri Soha. So in Tibetan, when we heard the music, the mantra praying before Om Amitabha Ri Soha, this is I think it's a mistake, that one. It's Amitabha Ri Soha, because Amitabha is the full. No, Amideva is, I think, Tibetan mispronunciation. Amideva Ri is, there's no Sanskrit word such. Amitabha Ri Soha, Om Amitabha Ri Soha. So it's not Om Amitabha Ri Soha. Tibetans say these many mantras by not correctly pronounced. So Om Amitabha Ri Soha. You should say that many, many times. Then, if time permits, then you should recite the whole Samandabhadra's prayer. Samandabhadra's prayer is 62 verses. Out of the 62 verses, if you did the 12 verses right at the beginning, then you do the remainder of the Samandabhadra prayer after here. If you can't do the full Samandabhadra prayer, if one cannot do the King of Noble Prayers, then just recite these following 4 verses. This is Chogyal Pakpa. Chogyal Pakpa is very, very kind, because some people are illiterate and others don't know how to summon the prayer. So you can just recite these 4 verses. These 4 verses are, when it is time for me to die. So it could be any time, Don't think that you have long to live. Always think of dying soon, thinking that you may die soon, and start living, If you think of dying, you will start living. If you think of living, you won't live very long. You will be worrying, you will be hoarding, you will be greedy, you will be angry, you'll be just wasting your life thinking of that. If you think of dying, you will start living like this. Each night you act as though you're going to die soon. When it is time for me to die, let all that obscures me. What is that obscures you? Your attachment to loved ones, your possessions, your dream, your possessions, and worrying about these things, what will happen to them, all of when the person who practices Dharma practitioner should not worry about material things. So your mind should not be obscured. So may they fade away, so that I shall see Amitabha directly and go at once to his Pure Land, Sukhavati. So it's like you don't even need Phowa. You will quickly go. As if you're a person who's been doing this Amitabha sleeping yoga each night, they will habitually go to Sukhavati and without staying even any days in the bardo. So having reached there, because having reached Sukhavati, may I actualize every single one of my this aspiration, the Bodhisattva's aspiration, Bodhisattva's 10 attitude, Bodhisattva's, Bodhisattva's root vows and secondary vows, all of them will be fulfilled once you reach the Sukhavati. Having completely fulfilled them, without exception, may the beings as long as the universe remains. So then you dedicate what you will, by you reaching in the Sukhavati realm, then you will do beneficial things for the sentient beings. Born there in an exquisitely beautiful lotus flower, because there, Sukhavati, nobody is born from mother's womb, They are born miraculously through the lotus. They are not born ovipariously or vivipariously. They are all born like miraculously. So that's what it says. Yeah. Born there, exquisitely beautiful lotus flower in an excellent, joyous mandala, victorious one, because you'll be surrounded by all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May I hear Amitabha give prophecy foretelling my life. Amitabha gives teaching there and then tell everybody how soon and when they will become enlightened. So Amitabha will foretell, tell that you, such and such, will be enlightened at such and such place. And having properly received the prophecy, there, with billions of emanations sent out through the power of my mind, may I bring enormous benefit to sentient beings in all 10 directions. So, amazing prayer. So, you should always learn to say these four verse prayers after the refuge, bodhicitta, 7-limb prayer, and that thing. Then, if you Amitabha, Soha, whatever, however many, then to conclude that, Buddhas who were absorbed into oneself now depart into the Sukhavati and armor your forehead, throat and heart by Om on the forehead, white syllable Om, throat red A, and heart blue syllable Hung. Now one should go to sleep. You should sleep on the right side, stay very present with strong longing to transfer to the Pure Land of Sukhavati without any. Just think that you are going to sleep. Your sleep will be so blissful in the Sukhavati, not Dukhavati. Not tossing, turning, cannot sleep, heavily, many long dreams, difficult dreams, not like that. You sleep like a log, so that your sleep will be and what strong longing to go to Sukhavati without any distraction. May I be able to see Amitabha in the dream. May I sleep so well. During this time, one should have definite conviction that even the mountain-sized heaps of negative deeds are purified through the power of offering the 7-fold prayer with 4 opponent powers. So when you do the 7-fold prayer, you should resort to the 4 opponent powers. 4 opponent powers. The first is opponent power of reliance, refuge in the Amitabha. Second is opponent power of regret. You should have this deep regret of how you sleep like a cow in other days. Now you will not sleep like a cow, and you won't commit any negative deeds during the day, but you will go to sleep mindfully every night, and therefore you have a deep regret in the past wrongdoings in general, particularly those. And third is the opponent power of promise. You should promise that may I not forget to go to sleep with the sleeping yoga of Amitabha like this every night. May I promise to practice kindness. May I promise to not to do ill will resentment, bad mouthing, any of this. That's a power of promise. This third power, power of promise. Fourth is power, opponent power of restoration. That you just imagine you're completely restored and you completely replenished, renewed your confidence and faith and compassion. You no longer have this limping problem in you towards anyone. You should believe that. One should also completely let go of all the attachment to ideas, to views. Lots of people are suffering. Their views, their convenience, their opinions, their ideas, their knowledge, their wrong views. They're so attached to them. We should let go all our attachments. I'm not attached to anything. You should not just say that, do it every day. And clinging to this body, this house, this property, this land, this business, these loved ones, these friends. You should not get attached to anything, even your house, even your church, even your gompa, even your land. Don't get attached to any of this. Then you will certainly see Amitabha, because Amitabha realm cannot be reached or seen by people who are attached to this world. The bird whose leg is tied on a piece of rock will not fly. He cannot fly because his legs are tied. So that's why we are always born in samsara, because we are attached to this mundane world as real and mine and this and that. So the Phowa Phowa is a transference of your consciousness without being attached to it, without being attached to it. So that's why these four opponents are very important. And so one should have the confidence and proceed to the pure land of Sukhavati at the time of death without fear of samsara and lower realms. So with that in mind, you should go to sleep. And so during the day, every morning or during the day, at all times, one's conduct should not part from being in the company of Buddha Amitabha. Always think of Amitabha on top of your head or top of your right shoulder, and always saying you are circumambulating him, and so that you are always mindful not to do anything, not to say anything, or think anything that is totally contrary to Dharma. So because if you're always under the watchful eye of Amitabha, and one is always in his blessed surrounding, blessed company, so that you should think of always, when you're walking, you should think you're walking towards Amitabha. If you meet anyone, you should think of this as a future Amitabha or present Amitabha. Then you say Namo Amitabha. That's why the Pure Land school practitioner always greet. They don't say good morning, good afternoon. These days, our Asian culture becomes so watery. Always translate the Western greetings into our languages. We never say good morning or good afternoon in Tibetan. We say, like Namo Amitabha morning, Namo Amitabha afternoon, Namo Amitabha evening. When you're saying goodbye, Namo Amitabha. When you say hello, Namo Amitabha, it's very good. Why the Northeast Asian Buddhist country people have the habit of joining hands and Namo Amitabha? Very good. Even if somebody says something bad, you say Namo Amitabha, bless them. You don't take anything personally. Then you will experience the Namo Amitabha, Amitabha's blessings. It says, but those who do this practice, the benefit of this practice, by engaging in such a yogic practice, because being able to spend at least 10-15 minutes before going to sleep each night, one will be free from sickness. Yeah, your sickness is caused in the head, made in the head. Sickness is made in the head, thinking, worrying, upset, depressed, anxious, and attached, fearful, confused, deluded, and doubting, suspecting, judging. These things made the sicknesses. When you're busy every night doing this before you're going to be, of course you are not creating any sickness. So that's why it says, by engaging in these such yogic practices. Some people do yoga in the morning, afternoon, do this night yoga. One will be free from sickness, and evil spirits and obstacles, and you won't have any evil spirits. You won't have any possession. People who have could not sleep. People who have skin problem. People who have rash problem. People who have stomach problem. All these are complicated by your worries and anxieties and bad eating habits. But if you do Amitabha practices, these will all be blessed. Evil spirits, obstacle won't touch you, and you will enjoy long life. By the grace of Buddha Amitabha, at the time of your death, you will not experience intense suffering of pain. You will not suffer long pain or difficulties, death. Have no fear of the intermediate life. Intermediate state means bardo. You won't have the bardo. You won't get stuck in the limbo because your mind is so clear. Like a snake shedding old skin for the new, you will be miraculously reborn in the lotus flower, in the pure land of Sukhavati, and will directly hear teachings from Amitabha. All these benefits, this Jamgon Kongtrul wrote these together, but he did not make this up. He says all these benefits are taught in the Ratnakutra Sutra, Jewel Hip Sutra. Jewel Hip, this is important Mahayana Sutra. Jewel Hip Sutra, and are praised in the Sutra of the Pure Land of Sukhavati. These are mentioned in those texts. You must believe in the text. So you have to be a Buddhist who believe, okay? Buddhists would believe. Buddhists who don't believe, forget it. They won't have a chance because they are Buddhists without belief, I'm so sorry. Wish we could convert them back. If they hear this, maybe we can convert them, because we don't want any of our Buddhist scholars to become Buddhists without beliefs. I'm so worried. So many intelligent people, they learn the Dharma philosophically, theoretically very well, but completely lost the plot, thinking Buddhism is not a spiritual faith. The Buddhism is some intellectualizing. So, furthermore, it is stated in the sutra, thus I have made this prayer in the past, should any sentient being hear my name, this Amitabha spoke, anybody who hear my name, may they proceed to my pure land. Amitabha has made prayer, may you be blessed whoever hear Amitabha. So tonight you heard Amitabha's many things to believe. If you won't go to lower realms just because should any sentient being hear my name, may they proceed to my pure land. Owing to the fulfillment of my noble prayers, many sentient beings will come from many worldly realms. After reaching my pure realm, they will not fall back more than one life. If your karma is very heavy, you may fall back one more time in the world, but after that you won't. This is Amitabha saying. Thus, having heard the name of Lord Amitabha, if one has generated bodhicitta, why Amitabha is very important. Amitabha means boundless light. What is light? Well, what light is bodhicitta. You will act like one with bodhicitta. Towards others who are angry at you, you don't angry to them. You should feel compassion to them, poor thing. And offer prayers to be born in the Pure Land. One will be reborn in the realm and will never fall in the lower realm. See, this is a guarantee. As these are the sacred and incontrovertible words of the compassionate Amitabha, it will bear great result if one respectfully engages in the practices explained above and by believing in them religiously. Okay? So you have to believe. In the Pure Land Sutra of Pure Land, this is Amitabha Sutra, it says that one will be reborn in the Pure Land if one generates these 10 positive attitudes. These 10 positive attitudes are listed here. And so this is in the Sutra, Inspiring Determination. It's written there. Bodhisattva, great being Maitreya, then asked the Blessed One, among the many qualities of the Tathagatas, the one Amitayus, and that thus gone has explained, it was mentioned that if one applies one's mind to the cultivation of certain 10 positive attitudes, then and brings to mind the thus gone Amitayus himself, one will take rebirth in the Buddha realm. Blessed one, since that is so, what are the 10 positive attitudes? The Blessed One answered, answered the Bodhisattva, great being Maitreya, in the following way. O Maitreya, the 10 positive attitudes that result in rebirth in Sukhavati, Buddha realm of Amitayus, are not attitudes generated by childish sentient beings. They are not attitudes generated by anyone other than holy beings. They are not attitudes generated by a divine mind. Maitreya, there are 10 such positive attitudes to be generated. What are they? Maitreya, I shall put in this way. So then it lists the 10 positive attitudes that will reborn, that will make. So you should go to sleep with these, reviewing these 10 attitudes. What are they? First one is harboring resentment towards the conduct of any being will make one incapable of taking rebirth in the Buddha realm, and so generate the attitude of loving kindness towards all beings. So therefore, each night you should generate loving kindness, particularly to prevent you developing a resentment. So that's the one. Second is ridding oneself of enmity. Getting rid of your enmity, generate attitude of compassion to all beings. So first is generate loving kindness to stop resentment. Second is generating compassion to get rid of enmity. Third is generate the determination to preserve the sacred Dharma with a concern for this life and limb, means body. You're not worried about how tired you are, how late you are, how early you are, how many things you have to do. Just for the sake of Dharma, just generate a strong determination. The work that people do, some people work around the clock. So you don't worry that you are tired or exhausted. You are doing with generate strong determination for the sake of Dharma, for the sake of people learning Dharma, people practicing Dharma. And that is the amazing Amitabha's qualities. Fourth is develop strong dedication to the Dharma through certainty that one can tolerate the profound, Tolerate the profound means you're not scared of emptiness, you're not scared of profound views, but you should, even your comprehension is not significant, but still you are so dedicated to listen to the Dharma, read the Heart Sutra, even you don't know much, just read regularly, that kind of strong dedication. Fifth is give rise to completely pure intention by not being stained by gain and honor. You should completely have a pure intention to do whatever you do, not thinking of profit, not thinking of material advantage, not thinking of honor and respect and gain and reputation and all of that. These are worldly dharmas. Worldly dharma people don't go to Sukhavati. They stay in the worldly places. Then the sixth one is through perfect recall, meaning perfectly remembering the qualities of Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and Bodhicitta, generate the viewpoint that state of omniscience is extremely precious. So the enlightened one, the Shakyamuni Buddha, is the only one, and so you should generate the whole faith in the Shakyamuni Buddha. You should have faith in the Buddha, not in people, not people who with karma and afflictions and who have many things to discard and who still have no sign of discarding anything. Don't take refuge in people. Take refuge in the Buddha. And the omniscience is extremely precious. Everyone is precious these days only because they have Dharma. Even our human rebirth is precious only if you have Dharma and faith in them, not just mere knowledge. So one must know that those who have genuine faith in the Buddha are Buddhist. Seventh is without getting discouraged. You don't get discouraged, you don't get upset. Generate the attitude of respect towards all beings as if they were one's guru. No matter what people are doing that is so upsetting or so annoying, never get discouraged. Always remember bodhicitta. Teach each them as your guru. Even your guru is only guru if you remember the teachings. If you remember the teaching, then every sentient being who make lots of blunders, mistakes, upset you, disappoint you, you should still see them as very important and show them respect and kindness and tolerance and understanding. That is Amitabha's qualities. 8 is develop the attitude of not enjoy mere short-lived meditative experiences. So a lot of people are doing meditation to feel good. Not like that. By being certain about branches of awakening, the 7 limbs, seven limbs of enlightenment, such as mindfulness, discrimination, diligence, joy, pliancy, meditative absorption, equanimity. So try to work to pure meditation with these 7 limbs. Then 9th is seeing them. By seeing them distinctly, cultivate a wide assortment of virtues, roots. 10th is abandoning the conceptual constructs, cultivate a state of contemplation that simply recalls the Buddha. Don't get complicated in the nitty-gritty details of Buddhist philosophies, Vaibhashika, Sautantrika, Jita Matrin, and the Prasangika, Madhyamika, the other, Zhentongpa, Rangtongpa, all those Dzogchen who's. Don't get complicated in any of this. Remember the Buddha. Recall the Buddha, his qualities, his infinite wisdom and compassion, his understanding of emptiness. Don't complicate it by texts and textbooks and ours, theirs, language, Sanskrit tradition, Pali tradition, Southern Buddhist, Northern Buddhist. Don't get into that. Buddha is the only son there is, son that really is son to all sentient beings, let alone between Buddhist schools. So these are the 10 positive attitudes that Maitreya told. He who generates any of the 10 positive attitudes and maintains these attitudes, should be attitude, not attitude, will not be reborn anywhere but in the pure land of the Buddha. See, this compilation is done by Jamgon Kongtrul I. Okay, he's not the author. He's the one who he compiled all this information from the studying the Samandabhadra prayer, Ratnakutra Sutra, and other Mahayana sutras, put them all together, Amitabha, Sukhavati Sutra, all together, he put them here. So the sutra that is quoted in the written works by omniscient name Buddha of Tolpo is not found among the collection of sutras. So this is Kongtrul talking. Kongtrul in his colophon says that one sutra that is mentioned by Tolpopa. Tolpopa is a Sherab Gyaltsen, he's a Shentongpa master. He's quoted on sutra, but he said, I can't find the text. Anyway, so that's the sleeping yoga practice. May the entire prayers of Lord Amitabha be fulfilled by the truthful power of the words of the King of the Shakyas. May all connected be reborn in the pure land of Sukhavati, not fall back in the lower realms. May they attain supreme excellence after traversing the path and stages. So, this Amitabha sleeping yoga practice is very good for all those people, those people who could not sleep, who could not sleep, and they should learn to do this practice. And then each night, not only they will sleep, but they will be a believer of Dharma, and they will wake up very, very rested, and of course it will completely change their life. So I taught this about 10 years ago, exactly 10 years ago, to a group of students. We actually had everybody come to our retreat center, and we taught them all to sleep, and they have short naps for 2 days, and listening to this teaching, and read the Amitabha sutra and so on. So today we have been able to share this to all of you. So I hope and pray that all of you, having given your time to attend all these sessions, whatever that merit there is, will completely make yourself a little bit disciplined to do this short prayer and reflections of Amitabha before you go to bed. And may you always maybe not only sleep well, but also realize Dharma Dhatu. Because if you sleep very well each night, you know the whole day is a dream. And so whether your ups and downs are all but a dream. So you don't take into the night anything that was or wasn't about yesterday into the night. Then you wake up in the morning like an innocent child. Otherwise you're so complicated by past and what did or didn't happen, because you didn't bury them with the sleeping yoga. So a sleeping yoga is to learn to forget all illusions. Remember all things as just merely illusions. Don't get attached to what happened, didn't happen in 10 years ago, 5 years ago, that issue. And all of these are just deluded people think of the past. But one who sleeps very well with sleeping yoga each night, they forget, let go, and forgive, and learn to let go and not dwell in the past. And then you rise up every morning like an innocent child, new child. You'll be giggling, and you could see why people make so complicated. We don't need to, because you know you have a sleeping yoga. Sleeping yoga is one of the 11 yogas all Vajrayana practitioners incorporate with everything they do. Sleeping yoga takes care of the 1/3 of your time each day. And if you do that each night, you will transform all neutral activity sleep into wholesome dharma, and you will not die in tragedy, violence, and severe sickness. You will have a peaceful death, and you will avoid bardo, and no one have to give you Phowa. You will naturally go to Sukhavati realm. That's why it's called Amitabha sleeping yoga as a sleeping Phowa. So with this we will now conclude here. Thank you very much. I'm sorry if I've been very fast as an undisciplined practitioner. If you cannot follow all. But of course I was also a translator. I was never able to translate every word of my teachers. I try to remember the gist of it and then translate it. And then I don't worry about what I didn't catch word for word, but I try to do whatever I can. I'm sure all my people who are helping to translate with their generosity also make that attitude, adopt that attitude. Not worried about, of course I don't make it complicated by giving lots of quotations, name the sutras, long verses. I don't do that. Mainly, that's just, it's like an oral examination in Geshe degree, they can do that. Because you have to impress them. How many texts you remember, how much you can. But the teaching Dharma is not about impressing the listener. It's about how to influence them, how to jolt them, how to wake them up, how to make them see what the Buddha is pointing. And then they can see that, and then they can remember that, and they have, this is what a sleeping yoga is. This is what the Amitabha Buddha practices. This is what the Pure Land school is talking about. This influenced me to be a believer in Buddhism, not just always like an inspector and judging and testing. Because teaching of Buddha says you should test, but doesn't mean you have to test all the time that you don't practice at all. How many are going to test the gold without wearing a golden ring? You will rub the whole metal gold itself, you will smelt it, you will rub it, you won't have any gold left. So quite a lot of the kind of lot of intellectuals are searching Buddhism that way, and then they think they can practice Buddhism without any belief. Oh, I feel very sad. Buddhism is one of the main big faith in the world. Faith with reason. Not the faith, the reason that again goes against the faith. The reason that actually supports the faith to be strong and unflagging, unwavering. That's their faith with reason. Not the reason that jolt the foundation of faith and you got nothing left. So I'm sure you are not among those. So anyway, this practice is definitely for Buddhists with faith, Buddhists with beliefs. And with this, we will now do the dedication of merits. Everyone, thank you very much. Particularly thank all our Sakya friends. Oleg and Juliana working very, very hard. I know. I sometimes feel, I wish they didn't write to me so many times. They are working so hard to make these things. So it's one of the 10 right attitudes working for the Dharma, tirelessly for others. So we should rejoice all the good work that has gone. And now we do the dedication of the merits. From the ocean of Buddha descended here in the Mahayana teaching. Whatever merit I have ever, may all be because and levels to hold the Mahayana teaching. Courage, manju shrinyavode, asama drabadra dilaiva, following our example, I shall dedicate all the merit, may the excellent Bodhicitta take where no yedanzo, where has been born, may it increase freely without generation. May the pressure view or emptiness table where no yedanzo, where has been born, may it increase freely without generation.
Rinpoche La, thank you very much. Could you please give oral transmission to this practice today? Or if not today, could you please give sleep yoga transmission next month, right after Red Tara Empowerment on Saturday, September 23?
Yeah, I can give the reading transmission. That text, that's fine. I can do that straight away, no problem. Because then there is a danger of some people may not be here by then. So okay, this is just a this is of course in the collection of sadhanas, and in the volume number 5. So it's on page 295. It's just it's end of a text. It doesn't even have the title, so that's most people don't even know it exists unless they are studious students who read every line, just study them. Most people don't even know they're there. So it comes at the end of a Amitabha ritual puja text. So I read that. Namaya la get on Ludan Dragunda, the Megan and the Andro, Pinyadan and Jazava, Tamje Gedo Dagacha, and Yanda de Ganza Jomegun La Kacha, Bami, Yabota was on Bochi, but Monam Jimingada, Lobun Zeteri, and Doji Demba loss of a Jema Menga, Mengata, Sajava Kon, and Yusuna Lechua, the News of Labandila, Dila Shi, Jorva, Mushi, Payan Demba, Tambone, Jave, soon up to you, Tezo may be each, a bear and Gumbo Oba Medan, Devajin, Shingamla, Tangwatan, Debadan, each of it. Debadan de Kazaki, the Jin Shingu, Dam, no one Taegi, Triku, good timber, Kayan, Sha, Chajos, Juba, Shuzu, so, Choba Ginger, Sham, Tayin, never come go nook to them, Lo Yeba, Autobam, Nilobe, then there was some never Naroto, Obama, Zorjiba, Gonjo Summa, Kajab to Shubala, Migna, Jamdo Shigur Tang. Tang Dunam so Chiri Prachawa, Simji Tamji, Sanji, Gomantova, the Tage of Obama, Gombraja, Yamzo, Semke, Negantam, Sajotam, Tabi, Shingum, the Agendo, Samra, Yedam to Gomla, Gombra Sungbe, Tukjimbu Iki, Kansawa, Gomdun, the Rinpoche, Che, Bemadan, Davedun, no one Tayazo, Kodok Marva, Shaji, Chani, Yamsha, Taki. Chaje din longse du ze kawan namba shabdu ji jimo zhunga yuba taje naza rumba chaje nazo ji yamba longjo zobe gu chalo je yana nazo chogo namba sum sobe gu zhugu chalo je jia kangme cha chen sum sumjo zanye de beje sangbo jia ju zhe jen na la ran xime ba namgen jan zun de we je shin du shubur samla sangbo chebe yala dumba tsar sum cha jugba dewa chena papa rinpo chen zebe namun banga wade Amitabha xie chaza medo la sobe chobara gomne chumdene de yi bra ju yang da bo zobe sanje oba me chaza lo chodo jebsu chewo digba demje sha so sonam tamje la ne jesu yeran wa sanje tamje la ne chujin kolo ko wa gulo nyangele menda wa so wan de so gewe zawan di sanje oba me be gombon tobra kyuji len sum cha ni ba ngushi la 좀 되는 데 이집라 좀 양다고 조베 상제 어바도 메베 다게 딕바드 디바탐지 장신 단 대화진지 신금소 제네 장주도 농된 토버 저도 소 셰렌 숨지 소아다 되는 옥칠 규베 체랑게 넘버시고 어가워 넘바주는 나부 예는 좀 되는 나wan테기 상부 예네 슈 kuye yeb gyu toke re la tembe gebe kozon to das ranse yermedo sam u nandon jubeze jomden den gi toke re le karaba ozarkawa mame chigla ni cheba zamje number shangbu ye ne ton de rangi shangbu rangi nabu yeso shu ningar tembe gebe to da ranse yermedon jebas tete we tingin zin gamen korwatar chang mizon war chizam ne ge padu ja sumba je ne tun jongar sanje de ju sumba chamje za ju lama la de lama no sanje na wa de la de u nang de jugba dan du ne na wa de o de jina da la de da gen o de jina sanje yedam semsum yermedon je be ngane gombo ba me ngar gomba chitawala migde om Amitabha re sowa chinun dene chubna sangboche molamda de majo na dane chiwe tuju gyubana she so semjen tamje namla pemba mongbo ji she sholoka shivote tsar chang chinus jube banzara mo shebe rangla tembe sanje dewa jendo shikbar samla rangi chandi nyinga namso oma ahung sumgobe sone yi shendo mingiroba dewa jendo Phowa dumba dungwe shinila ni logo de gabso top hi changwe yanla dumba phowa digbe phongbo rap changya dabe nge shekile chendi lu longjo de nyedun koryo da chiwe tu ngebe dawa shinjin tamje dane da chiwe tu dewa jendo ro nyembe ding zedang korwa da nge zola minjikbe samba madrawa cha nimo la soba negabji cholam tamje tu dundube ne dewa jingi ship Shingamsu samla tadu sanje obame da mindrawa gom drovetse rangin dundu sanje obame shukbe chosun drovara sam shiva penyone teada wenenjoba nyamsu langba tsendir nendon parche meji tse ringwa da chiwe de obame ki tukje chue jing dunga minjung pardon jikba tamjila dane lunde zhushun jeba da nubcho dewa jindu pema la zuyde kila nangwan tayala chue nyembar konjo zekba la zonje dewa jingi 대화진지 신고진 돌에 대단하바다 셰양 돌에 녜는 응지 몰람
deke dab semjen kange ngaye mingdo na ngaye shingdo dado ongre sho ngaye monam sangbo zongzo be jikdem kamanda ne semjen deda ngaye shingdo lane ne deda kewa jikne chirmendo chen gombo obame be chen tobada 장주 초도 샘 계징 대달게 몰람담네 싱데 계네 녜송도 추 도바데 미세바 돈바 투지진 이송 밀로바 미세바 이 체진 그베 냠솔라는 더 정보조와 조와 싱고레 다나 샘계도 유로와 주 샘계나 싱금 대리계와송베 샘계도 유로와 주는 라베삼바 고연돌레 사베삼바 고연돌레 되는 좀 된데 장주 샘바 정보 잠배 되게 줘서도 좀 된데 이거다 좀 대신식바 세바 메기 연대 대신식바 송바 강라반디 디다레 강게 샘계바 강롱와시 이라 계진 대신식바 세바메 이라게바 대 상계지 신대 개발 요는 좀 된데 좀 된데 샘계바 대 강라 되게 줘서봐도 좀 된데 장주 샘바 정보 잠바란 되게 가도도 잠바 샘계바 강게 대신식바 세바메지 상계지 신직 된진 감 대화진도 개원교와 제바 대라 집에 샘계바 마이 개워 담바 마이 샘계바 마이 꾸는 요모베 샘계바 마이인데 잠바 샘계보 샘계 주보는데다 예노 주 강시나 잠반데다데 샘젠탐제 줘발라 현재반에 대신식바 세바메지 상지지 정도 깨어 메뉴데 샘젠탐제라 잠베 샘계바당 세와 용소 방데 샘젠탐제라 닝제 샘계바당 루다 소라 메다와 담배 초라 송베 샘계바당 사무 소발랭 에버른 유베스 담배 초라 곰브레힌베 샘계바당 예바당 꾸디 마고바 삼배 용소타 베 샘계바당 제바메바 탐제 켐바 니라 림보체 샘계바당 shum바메베 샘젠 탐제라 라마신도 그베 샘계바당 장집게 연라 네베 니체베 삼dengi ronyame mijawe semgebada mandebe gewe zawa namba nazo semgebada sema yoso pande sangi jesu tembogombe semgebade jambe semge jubon deda yende semge jubon dedale semge kanyarunwa semge kanyabadene semge tedan dena sem sangi ji hingde gero mingyoba dene ne medo she sungba kunjin tolbobe sungrab de changben zeben doni do dinen do de chodo shubra menang oba mengo molang je odom shajo de denzo je de salam nyu de chanjun do ba jo di jeban dian je lama tamje gi sikba chimbu tigo je kazo we chuo peba pep jan ris rimluzo june lene ga lama denam je gongba gongwe chedo Rimé la Tibet samden la sam chawa ngawa karma ngawa yunden gyazo babung tsada rinchen chagi jumnesu juba giba gele pel. So I also read the colophon by Kongtrul who says that he has been asked to write this, though I have been advised to compose this by my omniscient mentor and venerable Lama, it has been neglected for a long time. Belatedly, in order to fulfill the wishes of my Reverend Master, this was composed by Karma Ngawa Yonten Gyatso. That's Kongtrul's official religious name. Jamgon Kongtrul Thaye is his actual title, who holds an extraordinary faith in the non-sectarian Dharma activity, which I too totally believe. In my practice room at Rinchen Trak and Sada Retreat Center near Palbung Monastery, Eastern Tibet. May this cause the virtue and the goodness to increase. Of course, first Kongtrul lived 1813 to 1889, so it's an 18th century work. So there we go. So now we have concluded the reading transmission of the Kongtrul's work on the sleeping yoga practice. Thank you. So that's all.
Dear friends, on behalf of Sakya Friends, I express gratitude to Lama Choedak Rinpoche for today's teachings. Thank you so much. Many thanks to all the translators who brought Dharma to 10 languages today. On 1,500 people joined today's Sakya Friends live stream to receive blessings and teachings from Rinpoche La. Next events organized by Sakya Friends on September 23, Saturday, Taras Auspicious Day at 1 p.m. Central European Time. Lama Choedak Rinpoche will bestow red Tara empowerment and practice explanation. On October 28, Saturday, on the auspicious full moon day, 1 p.m. Central European Time, Lama Choedak Rinpoche will confer the yellow Jambala empowerment and the explanation of the sadhana. Thank you, everyone, and see you on the next live streams. Thank you so much to you, dear Rinpoche La. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone.